everybody, welcome to the show. I appreciate you tuning in for another brand new review. Don't forget, this coming Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, it is Halloween Eve. Now, every Wednesday leading up to this, I've been giving you guys 12 spooky streaming suggestions to get your Halloween season going just right. But on Halloween Eve, instead, I'm going to give you a list of films that you can watch all day and night on Halloween to keep the holiday busy for yourself. So again, I'm going to do all the hard work for you. I want you to come and tune in and check that out. But don't forget that throughout the week, I'm still dropping countless reviews in the world of horror, whether it's movies, TV shows, games, books, whatever. And I got some interviews coming up for you guys as well too. You don't want to miss any of that. And the best way to stay on top of all the content I'm dropping for you is to get subscribed to my link tree. You can do that by going to linktr.ee/T-Scary-Movie. If you get subscribed to my link tree, that's going to give you access to the YouTube page for the video versions of the show, to your favorite podcasting platforms, the audio only versions of the show, to my Letterboxd page for my written reviews and movie rankings throughout the year, to my TikTok page for my short horror content including movie news and movie premieres, to my Twitch page for my horror gaming including The Thing Remastered and Phasmophobia, and to my Fangoria shop page where you can enjoy a 20% discount off anything in the Fangoria shop, including a yearly subscription to the physical magazine. Take advantage of that, folks. Hit that subscribe button, as the more followers I get, the more content I can put out for all of you. So what are we talking about here tonight? Well, we are still in the Halloween season, like I said, and we are getting a lot of new content across all these great streaming platforms, and I had a chance to check out quite a lot this week. But tonight, we're going to focus on a tale of one of the most infamous serial killers in American history, and how that guy made an appearance on a dating show at one time. Tonight, folks, we are talking Woman of the Hour. Now, let's not waste any time and jump right on into things. If you haven't seen the trailer for this one before, Woman of the Hour is set in 1970s Los Angeles as a wave of murders makes headlines. A young woman aspiring to become an actress and a serial killer cross paths during an episode of a dating show. And there it is, folks. This is the directorial debut of actress Anna Kendrick, who we've been seeing for quite a while at this point in a bevy of various projects. She's definitely a favorite of mine, and I'm excited to have seen her step behind the camera in her first film be a horror film. I absolutely love that because everybody loves horror. But here's the thing, as much as I love my horror films, I especially love my slashers. Y'all know I talk about that all the time, that I am a slasher fanatic. The one thing that I just don't really enjoy, and it's becoming more and more prevalent in the horror space and just in the media space in general, is the glorifying of real life serial killers. I'm not a fan of it. That's why I love horror films, because we can just shut off for a minute, and no matter how scary things are, basically, once the movie is done, you can move on. And sure, as kids and certain adults, we might have nightmares about some of that. It might stick with us a little bit longer, but that doesn't change the fact that it just isn't real. We can separate reality from fiction. And that's the reason why a lot of us, I feel, can be okay with things like blood and gore and terrible things happening to really, really nice people who probably don't deserve it. That we see monsters and demons and witches and goblins and guys in masks hunt down babysitters. And again, it's okay because none of this is actually real. I don't want to see any of that shit actually happen in real life. And when it comes to serial killers, not a fan of following that kind of stuff, because again, these are real life people who have done some dastardly inhumane things to people for years and years and years. And the focus of this film, Rodney Alcala, was a serial killer who was prolific for decades. And even though he's only credited to 8 actual murders, the word says that he could have as many victims as 130, if not more, as there are a lot of victims out there who obviously have never been identified. There's no evidence to link it. And considering some of like the photos and other like evidence they have found with Rodney Alcala points that there could be other victims, but we might not ever know. A lot of people have to work a lot of cold cases to find that information. And in the last few years, there's definitely been a pop-up of more glorifying of some of our more infamous serial killers, with Dahmer, with Bundy. I think we have something coming up on John Wayne Gacy. And it's not like these projects are new. I'm not saying that all of a sudden we just suddenly have all these kind of movies and TV series in the last few years. This has been happening for decades at this point. But I think that the general public's fascination with these kind of people, and even going as so far to idolize them, to romanticize them, because some people look at like Ted Bundy and that's the whole thing, is that that's how he got in, is that so many women were attracted to him. That's not a thing that I want any part of. And that is one of the biggest strengths of Woman of the Hour, I believe, is that the script in the film does not allow us to really fall in love with Alcala. Like, every single time he's presented, we know that there is something lurking underneath the surface. And most of the time throughout this film, we're seeing Alcala hunt down and kill these women. Like, there are numerous victims across this film. And of course, the main subject of all of this is the fact that in the midst of all these like murders that Alcala was committing, he decided to go on to a dating show and actually won the game as well. Insane. Absolutely insane. Now, again, the film follows Alcala across a number of years across the country, hunting down numerous victims, but also having a couple different run-ins with the police as well, too. And while yes, forensic science wasn't what it is now compared to back then, and these days we take a lack of evidence maybe a little bit more seriously when we're investigating people for better or for worse, it highlights that Alcala was able to escape like scrutiny and escape being captured by the police numerous times because the evidence just didn't match up, or he'd be let out while awaiting trial on certain other cases and his compulsion would get the best of him and he'd commit more murders. And this was just an ongoing repetitious thing that kept happening over and over and over. And that's the reason why the assumption is there are more than 8 victims that are credited to Alcala's name. The movie does a great job exploring that as well. The fact that he hunts these victims down and he's looking for something. The movie seems to imply that with each one of these victims, there's something specific in them that he's looking for, some kind of connection with them. And at a certain point, for whatever reason, it snaps, it breaks, and he's back into that murderous desire, that murderous rage, and just can't help himself. And one of the most chilling things that I found in this film, which apparently is a true fact about Alcala, is that he had a penchant for when he would kill somebody, or not kill them, like he might choke them out or strangle them out, and then he'd revive them just to do it all over again, building that terror up even more. And it's hard to really imagine what could have been going through somebody's mind that, you know, you don't want death, but it happens, and then somebody brings you back and you have to experience that terror all over again. It's frightening to think what he put a lot of people through. And even more interesting than that was that it didn't seem that Alcala had a very specific type, because the movie does go on to actually show that Alcala was interested in men as well too. There's photos backing this up, and there was also a potential victim set up as well. Alcala just seemed to be a bit all over the place. You know, younger women, older women, mid-range women, younger boys, older men as well. Like, it was all over. And you know, a lot of serial killers that we learned about did have a specific type that they were going for. In general, serial killers just have that compulsion to kill, to complete this process. And so again, very scary seeing how indiscriminate that he could be sometimes. And that seems to really focus on the other big part of the story, which I have a problem with, and this is where I feel the movie dropped the ball some. Now, Anna Kendrick is playing, like, Anna Kendrick technically would be, I guess, our lead of this story, as she's playing a woman named Cheryl Bradshaw. Now, from what I've been told, Cheryl Bradshaw was not actually a real person. It's based on somebody else. And if I'm wrong, y'all can check me on that in the facts, as again, I'm getting this from a lot of people who I know are into true crime stuff like that. So if I'm wrong, check me in the comment section, folks. But Cheryl Bradshaw is an aspiring actress who is facing a lot of sexism, misogyny from both people in the industry and people who are supposed to be supporting her, her friends, her family, all those kinds of people. And she finally catches a bit of a break when she gets a shot to go on the dating show. And this is where she encounters Alcala in the first place. Now, the issue I have here is that, again, what I've been told is that Cheryl Bradshaw was not a real character. Well, yes, of course, there was a woman who ended up matching with Rodney Alcala on the dating show. The thing is, the story that we're getting presented of this aspiring actress who's struggling and looking to just find a way to make it, and then, big spoilers here, ultimately decides to go a different route. It just seems superfluous, and it didn't really add much to the plot. Now, my own opinion tells me that maybe the idea is to set up that anybody could have been a victim of Alcala, like I said, that he was very indiscriminate in terms of choosing his victim. But the problem I have with that is that one of our other characters that we end up getting, that we end up having in the story as well too, Laura, played by Nicolette Robinson, is portraying the girlfriend of Cheryl Bradshaw's brother. And the idea is that earlier on, Laura had an experience with Alcala where a friend of hers was actually attacked by him. And she remembers his face, remembers the elements around him, and also the fact that she reported that to the police and nothing ended up happening. And that ends up being a very prevalent plot point during the dating game portion of this movie. And the thing is, it's very interesting because, again, the same things that I think they're trying to tell in Cheryl Bradshaw's story, that, again, there's the sexism, there's the misogyny, there's the fact that men just don't listen to women in this era, and again, in these day and age, not that much better. But if that's the story that we're trying to tell, it feels like that same story could have been told with Laura as well, too, because, again, she did go to the police. The police did nothing about it. And when she realizes that this guy on stage, this contestant on this dating show, is the same guy who is a killer, is a dangerous person, the same thing basically happens again. She's gaslit, there's some misogyny in there, there's some sexism with it as well, too. And to me, it just screamed out, like, I love Anna Kendrick, and her directing duties are fantastic here, but could Cheryl Bradshaw's story have been made Laura's instead? Because if this is all being faked, if this is all being fictionalized, and we're making events up mixed in with real things that actually happen, why not focus on a more gripping story? Because Laura had more involvement, fake or not, in this movie with Alcala. And that's where I think the shortcomings of Woman of the Hour really is that love Anna Kendrick, don't have a problem with Anna Kendrick, but it's just, it doesn't make sense to put that focus on Cheryl Bradshaw and this fictitious story before she got on the game show versus putting it on Laura, who had a much more interesting story going along with it. Now, beyond that, again, the film can be chilling in a lot of places. You know, it's hard for me not to feel like some of the other films based on serial killers that we've seen in the past. A little bit of Summer of Sam, a little bit of Zodiac in there. I know those are easy movies to connect it to, but I do feel similarities with both of those with this film as well. And there are some very creepy moments in this, including after the game show where Cheryl Bradshaw goes on a date with Rodney Alcala. And it's a very, very creepy moment that they have afterwards, and something that I feel has also been shown to cause a lot of issues with women going out on dates and providing information that somebody might end up following up on that a little bit later. So just, again, the movie finds the right balance of throwing a lot of those scary moments into it. But I found it interesting because, you know, I mentioned I was going to be reviewing this one, and a lot of my friends said they just didn't find this interesting. They found it boring, and I found it anything but. And I do have to wonder if maybe the reason they found it boring is the same reasons that I did, in that, again, Cheryl Bradshaw's story is just not interesting until she's on that game show and the date afterwards, which both are amazing, but just everything else and her deciding to give up on her dreams didn't really stick that well with me. Either way, though, it's a good directorial debut for Anna Kendrick, and the fact that this went to Netflix, that's a good way to have the start of your career, because then you can start moving into more theatrical projects. And I'm sure that obviously wasn't the original intent, but needless to say, there are far worse directorial debuts out there for us, folks. So go and check it out. I'm very curious of your thoughts on it. Did you like this? Did you not? Tell me in the comment section for a chance to be entered to win an Abigail Funko Pop that I'll be drawing at the end of the month. As always, folks, I appreciate you tuning in. Stick around for more reviews. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.
Boy here is a big fan of Fangoria. So, if you want to check out the world's best horror magazine that's out there, get a chance to get yourself your own subscription, which I just got my first one back in 2022, and I don't regret it for a second. But if you want your own Fangoria subscription, or you like the Fangoria merchandise, then head over to the Fangoria shop and use my link if you want to save yourself some money, folks. That's an easy one to remember. Just go to shop.fangoria.com/AXDEW. Again, that's shop.fangoria.com/AXDEW, or use my specific code AXDEW at checkout. You can save 20% off your entire order, and that implies 2 subscription and one-time orders as well. You don't want to miss out, folks, because with the magnitude of horror movies we've had released in the last few years, and with what we have on the horizon, Fangoria is going to be your #1 source for all that great, juicy, bloody information in the world of horror. So again, head to shop www.fangoria.com. Hey there, folks! Thanks for tuning in to Watch This Scary Movie. I appreciate you checking out another review or movie news, whether we're talking movies, TV shows, books, or games, whatever. It's all scary. Remember, you can check out new episodes every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on the YouTube page for video. That's youtube.com/c/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. Again, youtube.com/c/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. And you can check out the audio version on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Just search T Watch the Scary Movie or TWASM. Don't forget, my name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.